Right on to the real, much love to these haters. It's time for the Lakers. It's time for the Lakers. Right on to the real, much love to these haters. It's time for the Lakers. It's time for the Lakers. Right on to the real, much love to these haters. It's time for the Lakers. It's time for the Lakers. What is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Monday. And first and foremost, as always, got to send out positive vibrations and blessings to anybody who could be listening. Now, apologize for coming at y'all for the evening show because I was occupied this morning, but I want to go ahead and get right into it. As we all know, the Los Angeles Lakers were in action on yesterday, downtown Los Angeles versus the reigning MVP Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. And we knew this was a game that the Lakers needed to pick up. They had already dropped the most important game of the year thus far to New Orleans. And of course, on yesterday, I did a pregame prediction on saying that the Lakers would lose the game and would win the last remaining game besides for Phoenix and still have an opportunity to get in, which that is still the case because, of course, San Antonio did beat Portland on yesterday. But at this point, it's just looking so dismal for the Lakers because it's just like nothing can ever go right. You know, Anthony Davis set to come back and then LeBron James turns the ankle. I know a lot of these haters out here are still saying, oh, he's sitting out for the easy teams and he's sitting out for the hard teams just so he can win the scoring title. Listen, if LeBron James' health isn't in question, he is going to make himself available. And if he sit out against the hard teams, bet money if he's going to play against Phoenix tomorrow. He needed more time. Do you know what a sprained ankle is and you need rest and then you just ran around on it? And then they probably looked at the matchup and said, this is a game that could possibly still win without me and let me rest the ankle so I can be fully healthy for a team like Phoenix. And they played pretty well against Denver and looked good. And to be honest, until Anthony Davis re-injured his foot, they were looking pretty good. But unfortunately, that just wasn't to be. And I will say Anthony Davis came out of the gate. He was looking good. They were playing pretty good team defense on Dwight Howard. Pretty much they had everybody involved, getting their hands in passing lanes and knocking away balls. And Dwight Howard was doing decent job on Nikola Jokic with Anthony Davis helping us sometimes and actually getting a couple of block shots. They were getting steals, and the Lakers were actually leading the game for the most part in the first quarter. And they actually finished the half, I think, down by 1 after Westbrook came down and dunked the ball. And after Westbrook dunked the ball with just 1 or 2 seconds left, of course, the Lakers give up a 3-point foul. Malik Monk fouling Barton, I believe it was, for the 3-point shot. And that was just like a, what do you call that? I won't say can't find the word that I'm thinking of, but you know, it was just a combination of all these things that pretty much put the Lakers season in a nutshell right there because you just cannot do anything right. So with Anthony Davis, you know, re-injuring the foot, I think he did it on the Euro step when he was stepping past Jokic because he came out, he was explosive, he had a nice dunk, the shot was falling for him. It looks like, you know, Jokic was going to get his, but AD was going to get his as well until that nagging foot injury. And I don't want to make excuses for them, but, I mean, Anthony Davis was holding his own, but you could clearly tell after he took his shoe off and re-injured that foot, he was not getting back up the court the same. You could tell when the Lakers turned the ball over a couple of times. If Anthony Davis was fully healthy, he would have been sprinting back down the court to help out in transition defense. But clearly, he did not have it in him to actually put that much onto the foot and run that fast of a pace. I would imagine he's still going to give it a go since they're not mathematically eliminated. And him and LeBron will be taking on the Phoenix Suns on tomorrow night. I'll predict that LeBron will play tomorrow night after resting the ankle a few more days. Now, I will say this also. The Phoenix Suns lost to OKC, I believe, on yesterday, and that was because they decided to rest Booker and Ayton and Jay Crowder. So they rested 3 of their main guys yesterday just because you know what they're trying to do tomorrow night. They want to be fully healthy and come out and just dog walk the Lakers. It's bad blood between the teams. We all know what Anthony Davis has said. And this is not the same team as last year, so I don't know why he would necessarily make those remarks. So that only lit a fire under them. But if LeBron James can even come out at 80% tomorrow night, and Anthony Davis can even come out at 85 or 90%, tomorrow night, with the way the Lakers have been playing, I think they still will have a shot, because as we all know, we saw what the Memphis Grizzlies did. Of course, the Lakers are far from the Memphis Grizzlies. I know that, don't get me wrong, but we saw what the Memphis Grizzlies were able to do recently against the Phoenix Suns, and the Memphis Grizzlies were without Ja Morant, as well as resting some other starters. I don't even think Triple J, Jared Jackson Jr. even played in that game where they beat Phoenix. So anything is still possible, but the main thing is the Lakers are relying heavily on San Antonio, who had probably the two easiest games, two home games, which is weird because they making up for games that was lost due to COVID earlier in the year. So they actually had two home games against Portland. I was thinking they had Portland at home, then Portland away, and maybe at the Rose Garden Portland could pull something off. But both of them were at home, even though even though San Antonio Spurs were without DeJounte Murray. So they still was able to beat the lowly Portland Trailblazers. But I think there still is a small, tiny light at the end of the tunnel, and that would be that the San Antonio Spurs are not that great of a team. Of course, the Lakers aren't either, but the San Antonio Spurs are not that great of a team, and they still have to go against Denver. I don't think that they will beat Denver. They still have to go against Dallas. I don't think that they will beat Dallas, and they still have to go against not Phoenix. I think they have Minnesota, and Minnesota still has something to play for, so I don't necessarily think that they would beat Minnesota either. So I can really see the Spurs losing the last 4 games of the season. And if the Spurs, and that was my initial prediction anyway, that they would lose those last 4, but I predicted that the Lakers would have beat at least New Orleans. I said that they would lose to Denver and Phoenix, and then I said the Lakers would finish out beating Golden State, OKC, and then just taking care of business at home on the last day of the year. But at the end of the day, if the Lakers don't make it to the postseason, I know it's going to be a lot of happy people. It won't be a good day in Lakerland, but at the end of the day, I think the Lakers can still bounce back for next season, even though they're tied down to Russell Westbrook, because Russell Westbrook has finally started to come into himself and get the monkey off his back. And maybe it was just a mental block he was having with so many people on him, and maybe just been playing with nothing to lose and knowing that at this point, anybody's up to blame. But at the end of the day, I think the Lakers are tied to Russell Westbrook. He got, $45 million due to him next year. I don't think he is going to be traded. LeBron James, of course, will be there, and hopefully Anthony Davis could play more than half the season, because as we all know, he's missed half the season yet again. And who knows what the Lakers could have been like had he played the whole season. And not only that, if you look at it just from a different perspective, when the Lakers entered into the season, they picked up players like a Wayne Ellington, players like a Kent Bazemore, players to surround LeBron James, supposed shooters, to surround him to be able to knock down these jump shots. And here they are not even playing, because they never built any continuity. They never got any playing time. And maybe they just weren't good enough. But if they never had a chance to actually find their way into a rotation on a consistent basis, how do you expect them to gel and get better with the team? And that was even on the bench as well. So, THT got some playing time. I said do not play Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony scored 15 or 17 points yesterday, but at the end of the day, he was a negative on the floor because of his defense. And of course, he was making his good little 14, 15-foot jumpers, but his 3 has just been ugly. He started out good at home from 3 at the beginning of the season, but since then, he's been ugly. I'm curious to know what is his three-point percentage this year, because to me, just especially the last month or 2, it has been terrible. Every time he shoots the ball, I'm just wondering, is it even going to come close to going in? I just feel like a lot of his minutes could have been given to someone else down the stretch. He should have shortened that rotation. And at the end of the day, the Lakers, not to make excuses for him, but they depended on, players that were cut. Avery Bradley, they depended a lot on him, and he didn't even have a team at the start of the year and cut by Golden State. As we all know, Wayne and Gabriel, he was picked up. DJ Augustine recently picked up. Stanley Johnson was on a 10-day contract. And these are all players that you are asking to contribute heavily, which shows that their roster construction wasn't that great, which we all knew. And I never lost faith throughout the year just because of the faith that I have in a one LeBron James. And I was just hoping that they could hold on because of this play-in tournament and have a spot in there to where if Anthony Davis could come back healthy, then they would have a shot. But of course, Anthony Davis still was not ready, and he's come back and he's already re-injured that foot. And with that being said, a hobbled Anthony Davis and a hobbled LeBron James will not a Phoenix Suns team beat. You understand me? So at the end of the day, it's just unfortunate. But of course, we still got a lot of NBA playoff basketball to talk about and discuss through the year, and we're going to continue to talk about the Lakers for the next few days. Me, myself, I'm going to be in New York City. I got a trip to New York coming up here in the next few days, so I'm going to do my best to tune in to the last couple of games because I will be in New York. I was thinking about going to a Nets game while I was there because I've never seen Kyrie play in person. I have seen Kevin Durant play in person a few times back when he was with OKC and they used to take on Memphis. So that is something that I did see in person, and Kevin Durant is one hell of a player. And I know I'm not just the hugest fan of KD, but I do respect the hell out of his game, and it is an artwork and a beautiful thing. So let's just hope that the Brooklyn Nuggets can at least, even though the Lakers let us down, let's hope the Brooklyn Nuggets don't let us down, because I just feel like the league is better when you have a all-time great player like Kevin Durant. Now, it's still becoming a young players league, and I don't mind seeing Ja Morant in Memphis make some noise. Of course, I would be more than happy to go to a parade downtown Memphis and hit up Beale Street and have a hell of a lot of fun and rock some Beale Street Blue. So, you know, we're still going to have a lot of interesting things. We got Milwaukee out here. You got a lot of teams that's going to be vying, who thirsty. Of course, Phoenix, by falling short last year, they've been playing the best basketball of the year by any team. They're going to want it real bad. Jokic want it bad. Dallas is looking good. Atlanta starting to look real good all of a sudden as of late. Don't sleep on teams like Toronto, you know, and of course Milwaukee, the defending champions. Of course, you saw what Giannis did to Brooklyn the other day. That was a hell of a game. That could be a hell of a series. If James Harden can ever start playing back like the old James Harden, you might see some good series with Philadelphia as well. So, like I said, the Lakers have not been mathematically eliminated yet, but I would say that if they lose to Phoenix tomorrow, they still are not mathematically eliminated if San Antonio loses as well. So they could lose to Phoenix tomorrow and win their last 3, and San Antonio could lose their last 4. Or the Lakers could win all 4, and San Antonio could only have to lose 3. But if San Antonio lose the last 4, the Lakers only got to win 3. If the Lakers lose 2 and San Antonio win all 4, it's still over for the Lakers because they don't own that tiebreaker. And I remember a few weeks ago when they was going against San Antonio and LeBron missed that game against San Antonio. It didn't seem like a big time. They just beat Utah, I believe. Beat Utah on the road and was looking good, but LeBron James had tweaked the injury and he sat out that night against San Antonio, and they let San Antonio come back and win that game, and who knew it would come back to bite them like that. But of course, the Lakers haven't won back-to-back games since January. I don't know why a lot of these people aren't blaming the coach. We all know Vogel has been pathetic with his rotations, not building up continuity on the team. Even though there's been injuries, there's still been a better way to develop some kind of continuity. And a lot of his approaches to the defensive schemes on certain teams have been very suspect. And I, for one, would be happy once they fire his ass and send him packing. I mean, I won't be happy in the sense that he's out of a job. You know what I'm saying? I do got a heart, and I do always like to send positive vibes to everybody. But for the greater good of the Lakers and the greater good of them being able to accomplish and be successful, then I must have to say that Frank Vogel needs to go. But we all knew that, and you know, it just is what it is at this point. So let's just enjoy some Final Four tonight. There's no NBA games tonight, so we'll just sit back and enjoy that. And then, of course, we'll come to you tomorrow, because I do got a few things to say in regards to all these people talking about LeBron James and stat padding and like all these different idiotic things that I hear every day about him sitting out games and picking and choosing games, and because he's trying to get this scoring title and all of that. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even mind if he just sit the rest of the year and don't even win the scoring title, just so y'all can shut the hell up. You think LeBron, okay, he have a scoring title, you think he cared? If he cared about a scoring title, he'd have more than one, dumbasses. It's a lot that a lot of y'all need to learn about basketball. It's a whole lot. A lot. And for my smooth brain people that tune in, I appreciate you. And the haters that tune in, I appreciate you. But the people who've been with me long term, who've been with me from day one, you know what I'm saying, just know, man, look at this car finna steal my parking spot, man. Go ahead on, man. Okay, well, don't be mad. I took it. I was asking you, girl. You can have it if you want to, but she weighed me in, y'all. So anyway, your boy got to run in here and take care of some stuff real quick. So I just want to say, as always, man, right on to the real. Much love to these haters. It is what it is, and we can't stand them fakers. Peace. Also, I did want to say this. I forgot there was one last thing I want to say about the game. DeMarcus Cousins had a hell of a game. So for him to be able to come off the bench for somebody like Jokic, and for the Lakers to be able to, for the Denver to be able to have somebody like a DeMarcus Cousins come in off the bench and carry that weight of a Jokic, that played in the part big time, because if not for DeMarcus Cousins and his play, then I think the Lakers actually could have won that game and should have won that game. But another thing I wanted to mention too was the Lakers' inability to finish down the stretch of close ball games, whether it's LeBron James in there, Anthony Davis, or whoever. And I think a lot of that falls on to coaching too, because you're not coaching the teammates to trust each other and keep the ball moving and stay within the offense. Every time late in games, the Lakers revert back to isolation ball. So Phoenix is a team that moves the ball. We'll see that tomorrow night. If the Lakers can move the ball and trust one another, that'll be something good too. But I hate if Carmelo Anthony played, then that's just a bad thing. I would just like to see him retire, to be honest. He's just not, he's not good anymore. But just because he can get, and then the commentators like Doris Burke, oh, he hit, how many times have we seen this? And oh God, man, are y'all watching the games? Are y'all watching the games? Do you know? Look what Barton did yesterday. Look what these young guns doing for these other teams, man. Carmelo Anthony, he old and he's sorry. So I don't care who feelings that hurt, but like I said, right on to the real, and much love to these haters.